This is a regular scheduled meeting of the Franklin Township Environmental Commission. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting has been posted. Roll call. Razwan Rosani, Sil McAvoy.
Here.
Diane Podesky.
Here.
Robin Sudan.
Here.
Arnold Smith.
Here.
Stan.
Yeah, Raj is present, yes.
Walter Andrews, I'm here. Paul Walensky. Ted Chase. Ted is not here?
No.
I know Jessica said that she would make it. And did I miss anyone? So we're going to need, I don't know if we can transcribe the recording of the meeting, but someone to take notes until hopefully Ted arrives. I assume he hasn't sent me a notice saying he wouldn't be here.
I'm managing the meeting, so I cannot at the same time to type notes. Yeah.
I know that, and everybody else is tied up. Well, all right. So I'm going to take notes as best I can, and hopefully Ted does show up. Okay. Chair report. I did do what needed to be done to have Robin posted on the website. She sent me her resume, bio, and I had the other information. I haven't checked with Anne Marie to see that that has been done, but it shouldn't be very far off.
Okay.
I think most of you see that Mark Healy is supposed to join us after 8:30 to talk about underground utilities. And for those of you who are interested or didn't get a chance to tune in to the ANJAC 47th Environmental Congress, those recording copies of those various meetings and minutes are available to you. And I think all of you should have received an email to that effect. So if you want to take advantage of it, please do. Regarding, we on the agenda, we're going to talk about, if we have the time, how we might handle, future cases where there's death or illness or an accident or something among the commissioners and how we might respond. But we are working on Paul and Razwan, and I have quite a bit of information. I believe that I should have all the information we need tomorrow that would allow us to not necessarily donate to their favorite charity or their organization as a group, but you can do it individually and note that, Paul is or was a member of the Environmental Commission, and we're doing it, online in recognition of the passing of his wife. I'm hoping to hear from Razwan hopefully very soon. She may be out of the country. I don't know.
I don't think so.
But, okay. And
actually, yesterday, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Yesterday, when she had this online Zoom bereavement service, I just briefly managed to ask her whether she will be attending today, and she said she will try, whatever that means.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, we can go on to the next item on the agenda. We can go. Well, since
minutes.
This, is that the retrieval of emails from the website?
This is agenda. What I'm showing.
Oh, okay.
With the minutes. Right.
Yes.
Oh, the minutes. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you did receive the minutes, and Ted updated them based on input from, all of us. So can I have a motion for approval of the, what was it, 1019 minutes?
If there's no discussion, Arnie, I move to approve the minutes.
I will second that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, good.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
I,
Okay, thank you so much. And in addition, we'll be coming to, the 2021 calendar, but we'll wait until we get to that. Since there's no website, mail, and social media, we will skip down to plan review. And in general, I sent a email, as I traditionally do, to Mark and to Christine Woodbury, and they came back saying there were no new site plans. And but the Dada Bhagwan is still, very much an issue. And I know we have had some additional comments. So at this time, maybe we can entertain questions, or someone can just, I believe, Arnie, just tell us where we are with that.
Well, we sent our comments that we agreed on at our last meeting.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I was looking at, so the zoning board meets this Thursday, and I received an email, it's the regular notification that goes out for different meetings. And it said that, I clicked on the agenda, and this temple was on the agenda.
Yeah.
But in the email, it said that you can get all of the documents, all of the materials at different places. And there was no place to get the materials for this temple site. I looked all over wherever they told me to go, and I could not find them, because I wanted to see if our comments were included in the materials that they were going to be reviewing. And since I didn't see anything, I looked Saturday, I looked again today, nothing there. So I actually sent an email to Christine Woodbury today asking her, how do we find this? How come the temple's application information material, the documents are not posted as the email says they are? So if I don't hear from her tomorrow, then I'm going to send an email again. And I copied you on that, Walter, when I sent that today.
Yes, I saw it. Thank you.
And I will send it again. And I'll copy Ted, and I'll have to think about who else. But it'd be nice to know that they're going to be able to review our comments. I've never gone to a zoning board meeting or been online with one until this applicant. It just interested me. There was a lot of environmental stuff going on. So I decided to sit in on their first two meetings. And I did. I listened to their first two meetings, first one being cut short because of sound problems. So I'm thinking about going on Thursday also, and I might just go back over and say, talk about our comments, basically read our comments to them so that it's going on the record so they hear them verbally instead of just them getting a piece of paper that they might not even read, who knows. If anybody needs to read it, it's the people that are against this, the people on either side, the farm and the people on either side, the objectors, because it's some of what we said is helpful for them.
Okay.
And there's also, I don't know if I think we put something in there about a green roof in our comments.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that they think about that as well.
for your information, Ted was, as an attendee, I just promoted him to panelist.
Okay. So.
Arnie,
So
I'm looking at the zoning board website right now on my other computer, And
Right.
they have the temple for the agenda, they're showing the temple at the other side of the street, but I'm not seeing
Yes.
anything for this side of the street. Are they doing the one
Right.
on the Snyder's farm too?
There are
Well,
two,
are you looking at the email or are you looking at the agenda?
I'm looking at the upcoming meeting webpage for zoning board of adjustment, and I
Right.
see all the documents for the other temple.
That's correct. That's exactly what I saw. Now there's also, and it doesn't show the temple that we're talking about
At all.
next to the Snyder Farm at all. But
Right.
if you click on, there's a link to the agenda. If you click on that, it will show that the temple is on the agenda. It's the last item on the agenda. But in neither of them, excuse me, on neither of those do you see any documents. Like the one on the other side of South Middlebush Road, you see about 15 different links for documents having to do with their application, but there's absolutely nothing for the temple next to the Snyder Farm. And that's why I was inquiring about that today.
Like, do they just expect us to go back to the previous one?
I don't know what they expect. That's why I
Yeah.
sent an email.
Because most people wouldn't, in the public, I wouldn't think would even know to do that.
Well, I mean, it says right in that email that you're looking at that all of the documents that you need, all the material that you need for what we are going to be reviewing, what the zoning board is going to be reviewing, it's on these links. It's somewhere, you know, either on the agenda or on that email, and it just isn't. And Ted, now that you've joined, I think you might have missed what I said, that I sent an email to Christine Woodbury today asking her the question as to where the documents can be found for the zoning board meeting on Thursday for the temple next to the Snyder Farm. And I copied Walter on it. I'm waiting to hear back from her.
Ted,
Ted,
you're
are you there?
muted.
Right.
Sorry.
This week is only addressing the one on the other side of South Middlebush. That may be how they scheduled them.
The one next to Snyder Road Snyder Farm is on the agenda.
Oh, well,
But I asked her that. I asked in the email, I said, I can't find the information. Is it not going to be on the agenda? Are they not going to discuss it this week? But it is on the agenda. So it's a little confusing. It would be good to know what they're doing.
All right. And am I correct? Well, it looks like we have that covered more or less. There were no other site plans at the zoning board or at the planning board meeting coming up, their next meetings. Okay.
There was
did you pass the minutes?
Yes, we did.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And Ted, I'll share with you what the my
Yeah.
a little later. Okay. Thank
Chair's
you.
report. Yeah, okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
I never got a link, and finally I got on through the public window.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we need to know, Jessica sent out a schedule through the year, and that's probably about a month old. And if you were to go there, you would see the various dates of the meetings and you could get on there. But is it true that we could use the 1019 invitation to join this meeting?
No.
That's not true. Okay.
Well, actually, depending whether I have a voice now, but I wanted to discuss when we have time the way how we are handling virtual meetings because in the past we didn't have this administrative burden. And now we as a committee, which is mostly passed on Jessica, we have the burden of setting those meetings up. And for every meeting, we have a different link because
Yeah.
the way how we have been asked to do it, that it's considered from the technical viewpoint, not a meeting, but event. And every event has its own link.
Yeah.
While a meeting can be recurring. It's like when we have used to have physical meetings, we passed once a year the schedule, and then we would have the same room, right? Physical room. And there were no questions about it. But now we have for every meeting, we have a different room because the link is different. So, and then there is lots of administrative things associated with putting this together and running it and making sure that everybody is in, moving people from attendees to panelists. And, I'm doing it for the second time.
Okay. Well, I had asked Jessica to send out the invitation again for today's meeting, but apparently, whatever was ailing her, she didn't get to do it. And I don't know whether she sent it to you, Stan, but what I did at the meeting before, I actually copied the link and sent it to everybody so that they could join on the actual date, since each event is new.
Yeah, so
and
that's another complication because we have separate link for panelists and separate for attendees,
Yes,
right?
that's
As
correct.
opposed to having one link, and then we would have the host that would decide who is the upper level and who is the public, right?
Yeah.
So we have to sort it out. So you
Yes,
said
we
that
do.
that Bob McQueen is coming today?
Not Bob. No,
Mark,
Mark
Oh,
Healy.
Mark Healy. Okay.
Yeah.
Stan, is it better
Now-
with Zoom?
Well, yeah, but
We can't. We're not allowed to use
Yeah,
Zoom.
yeah,
This is what the township says we use. So we used to have to use WebEx.
we went
Yeah.
through this exercise, and
Right.
WebEx, they gave us means the township a deal several months for free, and blah blah blah. So they just decided to go with that. And there was also some security related business.
Yeah.
So
I think that was the main reason.
But the
Yeah.
whole Board of Ed for Franklin is using Zoom.
Okay.
They're a separate entity from the township.
It's just so much easier to use Zoom, I think, but
I agree.
All right.
it just makes no sense. It makes
I
no
don't
sense
think-
that it just doesn't make sense.
To Bob McQueen. Shit.
well, I think
Incidentally,
if we can use the meeting function and not the event function, it would make our life much easier.
okay.
Who do we have?
Just for your information, and when we were talking about managing, postings on the website, like our resolutions, etc., I invited Bob, or somebody from his staff to come to one of our meetings virtually to talk about how that's done. And he said that can be done. So perhaps at the next meeting, I'll personally invite him. We can send him an invitation as a panelist. I know it's after hours, but he said that it could be done by him or his staff. And they sort of walk through the website saying what cannot be done, etc. And I know that Arnie was going to talk to him about where he wanted the resolutions, but we're going to talk about the whole website and the whole process. So that's something for the future. All right.
Good.
All right.
Hopefully the near future.
Yes.
Hey, Walter, what about, not to change the website or make any of these changes that we're talking about, but what about just getting the most recent 4 or 5 resolutions that we've done, posting them on our website?
Yeah, I that should not be a problem. But he would just explain the process so that we can all be a little smarter about the whole thing, and maybe we can have some suggestions. But So I look forward to having him or his staff come to talk about that. All right.
Are you gonna make that invitation, Walter?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Actually, I have already done so, and he's agreed that, but the particular, I said at a future meeting, I'll pin him, I'll be specific about what meeting,
Perfect.
and it may be next meeting. All right. If we go down to new business, stormwater regulations and green roofs resolution, I know that's sort
Wait
of
a second.
crescendo, but it's still with us. I know, we were looking at Township, the
Okay, Paul just
environmental
joined
center.
again as a
Oops.
attendee. Paul, I'm going to put him as a panelist.
Okay. Good.
No, this is okay.
Start your meeting.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Oh,
I couldn't find an invitation on my emails.
Yeah, we're gonna work that out, Paul. Sorry.
I had the same problem, Paul.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did also, okay.
Yeah. I'll handle that next week meeting, at least through the end of the year. I'll take that responsibility myself. But
Okay.
Jessica was supposed to do that, and she is ill, and so that sort of fell through the cracks. But I'm glad you are.
Thank
They
you.
were
I-
all sent October 1st.
Yeah,
I got it.
That's right, and that's way down in their some people's emails, and but
Yeah, I
had to do
couldn't find
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew she'd
remember the
sent
date
a list of them all, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, what's
it's
the date of that?
October 1st.
October 1st. So look for the October 1st email from Jessica where she sent to Anne Marie all of our meetings through the end of the year. And you can use that over and over again.
Well, the way it's supposed to work, my understanding is that each of the emails she sent a separate email for each of the meetings.
Yes.
And if you went to each of those emails and accepted the invitation to that, then that automatically sends that invitation to your calendar. And then if you go to your calendar,
Oh, that's what it was.
you click on that. So
Yes.
there should, if you accepted them all, there should be one for each of the meetings on the on your calendar.
Oh,
If whatever computer or piece of equipment that you're using works that way. But that's my understanding of how it works.
oh, okay.
It took me quite some time to realize that's how it worked. I was having a
Sure.
very difficult time with it, but I think it was just a couple of weeks ago that I finally realized that you go to your calendar after you accept it, and that's what you click on to get into the meeting.
That's what
I went to my calendar, but I guess I hadn't accepted.
Well, all right. We're still learning here.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
yes.
Okay. Well, welcome again, Paul. Good to see
Thank
you.
you.
Okay.
Yes.
So as I said, the next item.
Wait,
Go ahead.
before we leave stormwater regulations, you all saw that I wrote to Carl Hauck asking him where his office is on writing the new regs.
Yeah.
And I've not gotten an answer.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Robin, I was going to ask you about that, and I was also going to suggest maybe if we get a chance when Mark Healy comes on to ask him if he's working on this also. Ted, it's my understanding that Mark might be working on this also. Is that correct?
I don't know.
So we
Question
can.
is whether we get things into other parts of the ordinances.
Right, but we were looking for a response from Carl.
Yeah,
And the question is, if Mark is working on this at all, possibly we can ask him and just say, can we forward this email to you also? And try and get a response from Mark.
It's worth asking, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So Ted, can you join? Open your video. Start your video. We'd like to see your face if possible. Okay. If we, I'm saying, we're hearing your audio, Ted, but we don't see your video. So that means that you probably haven't started it down at the bottom of the screen.
I just clicked that
Yeah?
and it just puts up my personal ID as if I were starting a new thing. There should be a symbol. Wait a second. Let me.
I cannot push it from my view.
Oh, here's start video.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did that get it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
there he is.
Fantastic. All right. Next on the agenda, I'm sorry, put the agenda back up again. Stan?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
fast.
I think we want to talk about the schedule, the 2021 schedule. Did you all get
Yes.
chance to review that?
Yes.
I did. Wait a second.
Okay.
I can share
Oh, you're going to share it? Okay.
my screen, and I think I have it opened here.
There we go.
Can you see it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the polar bears
Okay.
are the best. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I can make it bigger.
Let's see. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Keep zooming to February 12th. Keep zooming, keep going.
I have it through the whole screen,
Got it.
so
okay.
I cannot make it any better.
All
That's
right.
perfect.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay. So in January, I know generally we've had some complication and conflict with the council meeting, but this is pretty much the way we did it last year. So I circled the January 11th. You just have one meeting that month.
The
Okay.
council meeting is going to be on Tuesday, the 5th.
Oh, okay.
So
The
we could
4th
have
is
it on
open, but of course the 18th will be Martin Luther King Day.
That's true.
Mm,
Okay. So yeah, so that's sort of the in between, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, the 11th is fine.
Okay. So for February, the 1st and the 15th.
Just so you're aware, the 15th is President's Day. Now, I know we're not meeting at the municipal building. So I don't know if there's any legal complication because it's a legal holiday.
Well, historically, I don't remember. I don't know whether any of our meetings ever fell
I don't
on the President's Day, but so Franklin Township observes by having staff be off on that day.
I believe so.
They've always
We wouldn't meet that day, but if we're meeting virtually, I don't see why
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it was
Okay.
more a matter of the building being closed.
Yeah. Okay.
well, then technically we could as well meet on Martin Luther King.
Yes.
But
You can use this.
Okay. April the 5th and the 19th. It's pretty straightforward.
Just so you know, April the 5th is the day after Easter. Now, since
Ah.
most of us aren't traveling, that may not prove to be a problem.
Okay. All right.
and I think we can
Um,
do stream cleanup on the 10th.
The 10th of April?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's Saturday. I
All
think
right.
that would be a good day. We will do the Nyman Williams Park.
All right. Beautiful. Now Earth Day is what, the 22nd?
Oh, yes, technically.
Yeah. So I don't know, if I remember once we had a discussion about trying to do something special on Earth Day. Now, it used to be the cleanups were that week, and we sort of looked at that as an Earth Day event. So if we're doing it earlier, course.
Well, we can do it on 17th, but it has to be Saturday.
Okay. All right.
22nd is Thursday.
Mhm. Yeah.
Depending on the COVID status,
Yeah.
if we can do, I don't know, EV show or some sustainability fair,
Yeah.
that would be, which is more holistic,
Yeah.
we would have more things to do.
Stan,
Okay.
have you discussed this within, the watershed groups, whoever it is that usually coordinate with this?
Oh, it's November. If the first I want to kind of get an idea when we want to have it, and then we'll discuss with them.
No, my point is that, if the watershed people have already discussed it with other towns about doing events, the sooner you ask them, the better, so that you get the primary date that you want. So another town doesn't jump in there and take either
So
of those dates.
what do we prefer? 10 on 17? Do we need to vote on that, or just?
Well, I think closer to Earth Day is better.
I think also if we have issues with weather,
Yeah. You have another
and
date.
you better have alternative. The 24th, I'm afraid, will be very busy. Everybody will want to do something.
Yeah. Okay.
If we do the 10th and it rains, we can have it on 17th. If we have 17th and it rains, we'll do 24, and it could be a little bit crazy, This year, the original date was, I think, 13th or something like that, or last year was 13th, 12th. So having it on 10th is not too early, What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think the whole month of April is sort of considered Earth Month. Everybody tries to focus in on that week, but I think anything in April can be easily associated with Earth Week or Earth Day.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
again, it doesn't have to be the only event if
No,
we
of
agree.
course not.
But if we want to have something bigger,
Mhm.
the township would have to really pitch in,
All right.
because the environmental commission cannot sponsor two things in a. I mean, we did in the past, yeah.
No, we don't want to overtax ourselves. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. If we go to May, we have the 3rd and the 17th. I did sort of have a holiday calendar, but I think I was able to avoid any major holiday except President's Day, perhaps. And then we go to June 7 and 21. In July, because of the 4th of July weekend, and as traditional, we have one meeting, and this one is the 9th of July.
19th.
19th.
You're right. There's the one is obscured there. Thank you. Oh boy. August. Now here again, the people who send out the notices, they sort of put up the calendar saying 1st and 3rd, and this last year, because we had one at the end, somehow it wasn't on their notice calendar. So I'll have to make sure that they understand that we're having a 3rd meeting, which isn't the 1st and the 3rd in August, so we don't run into that again. Some of you may remember.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think that we did add that 5th Monday meeting later. It wasn't on the
Oh,
original
really?
schedule.
Okay.
No, I think we did actually.
Yeah.
It just maybe it was not acknowledged, but I remember that we had issue with that.
Maybe
Yeah.
And the reason we did it is the same reason as we are doing it for 21, because on 6 is Labor Day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
but
I have the schedule that I sent to them last year, and we do have 3rd, 17th, and 31 for 2020. But being aware of that, we'll try to make sure that there's no misunderstanding.
I'm also missing this one on July, but I don't know what this other's opinion. It's difficult to fit it in because of the 5th.
That's correct. Yeah.
I suppose, yeah, the 5th will be the.
Okay. And September again, we have the same scenario. We have the holiday, and so that's why we put in the third Monday in August to try to
Yeah.
compensate. All right, and October 4 and 18, and November 1 and 15. I'll try to make sure I don't obscure the ones next time. And December 6 and 20.
Yeah.
Do we want to have that meeting on the 20th?
So if we're in
Usually-
agreement, I'm sorry.
Well, usually there's dinner that I guess it's really sponsored out of open space, but people from the EC and trails and all go to it. And that's sort of instead of a meeting at that point in December.
I think you're right, Ted, that we have done that over the years, but I think it's best to schedule the meeting. It's easier to
That's true. It's
cancel a meeting than to
cancel. No.
schedule it. And if something comes up that we need to talk about, it'll be scheduled. If not, we can always cancel it.
Okay, right.
All right, good.
Okay.
So could I have a motion for acceptance of the proposed schedule? And if so, I'll put it in the format that the Anne Marie likes it and send it for in the next.
I'll move to accept that schedule.
Second that.
Okay, it's been moved and second that the proposed schedule for 2021 for the Environmental Commission, as we went over it, they're all in favor. Let it be known by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay, or abstain? Okay, beautiful.
Walter,
Got that behind.
Walter, I do have one thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're not doing these WebEx meetings forever.
Yeah,
It's possible by, April, May, June, who knows when, that we might actually meet in person. And I know you have to reserve rooms
yeah,
for our meetings. So I would suggest you just keep that in mind, that at some point, you
Yeah.
reserve the rooms, you could do it for the whole year. Obviously, we're not going to be meeting in
Absolutely.
January and February, but it is something to consider.
absolutely. That's a good point.
Yeah, and for
Absolutely.
your information, that December holiday dinner in Luigi's Pizza last year, it was on Tuesday.
Ah,
Yeah, it's always on a Tuesday because that's the open space meets on Tuesdays.
Okay.
It's they
So-
meet the
So
third
at least
Tuesday of the month.
it would not be in conflict if we have meeting on Monday. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
okay, wonderful. All right, well, that's behind us, and I'll take care of sending that forth. And I think what they do is they send that out. It'll be posted, and I believe they even notify the media of the whole schedule, but then they notify them prior to every meeting. So I'm not. That's the way they've done it. So I guess they'll continue to do it. Okay, and the next item is I'm
Do
not
we
sure how
want-
much time we want to put into that, but I sort of briefly touched on this during my president's message, if you want to call it that. We are going to be facing time to time, where there's a death among the EC commissioners, or there may be a serious accident, or there may be something else that we want to sort of recognize the event. And I don't know if we can sort of standardize what we do in let's say 2 or 3 cases.
I think it also differs if we have COVID or not.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. So it's not an easy thing to try to sort through, but I'm interested in your thoughts. If we are meeting in person, we all sort of come and, if we have one individual purchase
Buy a card.
a card or
Yeah.
a basket
Yeah,
or something like that. We
yeah.
chip in and it's done. But virtually is a little different because, you know, we can't be sending money from person to person and have one person do it in the name of the whole group. So and for now, I think we may agree to support, you know, a particular donation to a particular organization or whatever, and individually online, we may donate, stating, you know, why we are and our connection to the Environmental Commission. But I don't see any other way to do that unless someone else has some other thoughts about it. If not, we'll just do that and move on, or we'll try to handle each case as best we can. But it is complicated when you're virtually meeting as opposed to in-person meeting.
Walter, this is Robin. Can I
Yeah.
make suggestions?
Sure,
Number
sure.
one, I don't have anyone's home address. I would like it if we could be mailed a roster with people's home addresses so we could at least send a card.
Yeah, we used to
Yes.
have a roster that we shared with everybody.
Oh, yeah?
So I think that would be
So
step,
that's a good idea.
Yes,
A
that's
roster
a
and
very
a
good
phone
idea.
number too.
yeah, address and phone number and email address.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
Walter,
that-
if you don't have one of those old ones, I can send you one of the old ones that I probably have. I might have somewhere, and then you can just update it.
Oh,
Maybe you
excellent.
can, if you want to send it around there, or maybe I can send it around. I don't know. I'll have to take a look and see if I can
Okay.
find one that had everybody's name, address, contact information, and all that.
Ah,
Okay.
yeah, and we have to update. I mean, that's an omission. I don't remember having, you know, having been a party to that in the past, but it's an excellent idea, and it's a revival of what we've done in the past. Well, thank you. So we'll get that done, and then that will sort of solve one communication problem
Yeah.
if you want it. Yeah,
And
That'll
secondarily,
definitely make it easier.
yeah,
secondarily,
absolutely.
we can do something as a group. I mean, one
Yeah.
person could serve as the secretary for the group,
Yeah,
initiate, and then just share with everyone what their contribution would be, and people could send them back.
in the
I don't
mail
think
or
it-
something.
Right. I don't think any of us are worried about being left
All
hanging.
right.
But I do think it's nice if we did something as a group, but at least with a roster, we could acknowledge it quickly.
I agree. And yet, you know, turnaround time is of essence because these events very often, you know, things happen, and the later you are, the less relevant, you know, whatever you're doing are. But that's an excellent suggestion. I think that would solve a lot of problems. So with that, that's what we do. And thanks, Honor, for, you know, remembering that the old list, and if you can get that to everybody.
Actually, I'm just looking at my documents, and that stuff I had from several years ago was in my computer
Wow.
from work, and I
Ooh.
wasn't able to transfer any of that over. So I don't think I have that old document with everybody's names and information. Besides,
different composition, yeah.
it's you know, most of the people are
Yeah.
new
Are
since then,
new.
or half
So,
of them anyway.
Yeah.
Can we have a cloud-based database?
Please.
I don't think so.
I mean, because it's not public document anyway. This is just for us.
Yeah. Well, you know, maybe Stan, you can sort of
I can open, you know, Google Sheets, and
Yeah.
you know, it's very simple, and it can be shared only among us.
yeah.
And for those who are not able to access it, we can always make offline version. But it would
All
be
right.
it would be parked in space and time, so to speak. If we make update, it would not be reflected on the offline document.
Very good.
I can do that.
All right. Thank you so much.
I just found out my computer, the roster from 2012, like that's how old it is.
Forget it. Yeah.
Wow. You guys are
Well,
so
it's
organized.
but it is what Diane has is a starting point.
Yeah, it's a format.
Do you
Yeah.
want me to send it to someone?
You know, it doesn't matter. I mean, you can send it to me, but
I'll send it to you.
I don't need to have a template because
Well, you don't need the template, Stan, but you'll have at
Yeah.
least some of the people's names and phone numbers
yeah,
and all that stuff. So you'll have
yeah.
that to start with.
Mm.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Diane.
Thank you. Okay. Now, Mark Healy said that he would be with us about 8:30, but we're moving along very, very well. So let's go into the stormwater, well, the old business now, updates. The stormwater basin retrofit program is ongoing. We had someone come in and talk to us about it, and I believe,
Mike Pissarro,
yeah, and the DPW, I'm sorry, the person from DPW is involved in working on whatever the refit program or tracking it is. So I don't know where we are with that, but we can always ask.
I think
Ted, do
we
you know
should.
anything new?
It's on our agenda every 2 weeks. I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
it has to mean something somewhere.
Yeah.
I ask, and I get a response like, it's coming along.
Yeah. Well, 40 minutes, you know, maybe that's okay for now. Okay.
Wait, I want to stop here for a minute.
Yeah.
Do we have any way, maybe through Bob Vornlocker, to say we are all volunteers? None of us are paid for the time we put in every 2 weeks.
I am.
Some obligation on the part of the township employees to respond to us in a meaningful fashion that helps us with our volunteer duties. Because it sounds like they don't care.
Unfortunately, I copy that 100%.
We're a nuisance. And why do we put in all this time if at least they can't be responsive? It doesn't have to be a glowing report. Here's where we are. Wish it were better. At least we've gotten this far. We have no facts to go on. One, treasure my time too highly to spend 2 or 3 meetings a month talking about really important issues, talking about even policy things. And no response coming from the mechanism that is the township. And I don't think that's acceptable. And I'd love to find a really polite, effective way to have that be understood and change that culture. Because quite honestly, I really care about this stuff, but I can't spend meeting after meeting after meeting where all we do is stay on to the next because we're not getting any feedback. Does anybody else feel that we should change this dynamic some way or another?
It would be very nice if we were able to change the way people reacted to our inquiries. Common courtesy would at least say, if somebody sends an email, that they would respond to the email and say, yes, I can get you that information, or no, or I will get back to you on that. But to go, weeks without getting response is,
Not only
not the
that.
not the greatest business etiquette.
It shouldn't be
Yeah.
acceptable.
There are phone numbers, including the phone numbers to DPW. I'm not going to make the name. And, it's not a long time ago that the voicemail box was full, so I could not even leave message. Now I
Really?
can leave message to that person, but of course I get no response, unfortunately, of course. That person
Well,
doesn't
I think
respond to my
that's
email.
largely my role. They should be somewhat more responsive to me, although technically all my emails should go through the manager. Now, in practice, I send an email directly and copy the manager in my wave at the Faulkner Act. But
Yeah.
But if I do it too often, people just get annoyed.
Yeah, that too often means that you are working harder.
Yeah, and
What's
too,
wrong with that?
if they get annoyed, I mean, that's their job. We
Yeah.
are the township, we are the people they are hired to serve. And if, work out a dialogue with us, work out a way to say, hey, guys, we can deliver this much, but not this much. We need one point person to go through, or we need one means of communication and we'll build a list. But we're not getting anything back in any way. And I think corporate culture issue that should evolve out of this stage to something better.
Montgomery Environmental Commission is like us, all volunteers, and they have a person that works for Montgomery Township that attends all their meetings. She does the minutes. She takes care of whatever inter-office business needs to be taken care of for the commissioners, comes back with the information.
Staff,
What
Wow.
the position of that person,
She's
Diane?
called the communications something. Like
Do
when
we
I
have-
worked there, she was
Do
a
we-
part-time employee and that was her job.
Oh.
Like, I mean, she didn't work for the Environmental Commission, but one of her job functions was to attend the Environmental Commission meetings.
Maybe
That
other
was-
commissions as well. Yeah.
Princeton does the same thing. Like Princeton they pay someone to go to their meetings, take notes, all
So,
that.
so we do not have anyone at this role in
Franklin
township,
doesn't
No.
have that.
No.
Franklin doesn't have that.
and we have
No.
77,000 people.
it's
And
staffing commission, staff
Mon-
commission.
yeah, and Montclair, they have sustainability officer.
Yes.
You know,
And that's their
something
job
that-
to go to the meetings. They go to the meetings.
well, that's actually. I'm thinking a different way now.
Well,
Um,
if Franklin got a sustainability officer, maybe that could be one of their job requirements.
Well, what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say is that there are opportunities for the township to save money, and sustainability officer would be doing that, you know, and I already I'm seeing many things that the township did and wasted money.
Well, we're talking about a couple of different things here right now. I know we've already sort of received an answer that we're not going to have a sustainability officer. Those responsibilities are going to be split between Bob Vornlocker and Safi maybe, or somebody else. What we're really talking about, I think, and we got off the subject, is that when we send an email to somebody at
Employee,
one of the departments, it would be nice to get a response back from them, at least acknowledging that they received the email. Hopefully more than that, but at least an acknowledgement that they received it and that we exist.
yeah, there should be process in place.
I would like to be on record in the minutes that I find that this lack of response from employees to our very specific questions having to do with our charge is really inappropriate, discourteous, and very ineffective. And what can we do? We're asking the township, what can we do to make this better? Because this is not working.
I agree with you, Robin.
Yep, I do too. I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, couple months, that we need to find out what Carl's doing. We never did.
You put that name, yeah.
Well, I don't know.
He's not the person to be named, not to be named from Harry Potter.
But I've
Yeah,
emailed Mark Healy asking him specific things, never responded.
Really?
Mhm.
Mark
You mean
has
as a
been
private
pretty.
citizen? Oh.
Mark has been good for when I've emailed Mark. He's been good as far as responses.
Yeah.
And I put in the email, I'm a member of the Environmental Commission. A subcommittee is working on this question. Could you please provide
Ah.
second request crickets?
Well,
You
Let's
sure it's not
continue to,
cicadas?
if we are share with the group when we think that, you know, township officials are being non-responsive, and we can build up a body of information, and we have something to go forward with. In the meantime, Ted, I don't know what you can do to sort of put out the word that, there's some dissatisfaction, well, a lot of it with the way, from time to time, township officials respond to our inquiries and questions.
We could be a lot more effective if we had better communication.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So if we can move
Our
on here.
communication is fine. It's just that sometimes it's a one-way street.
Right.
Yeah,
Our communication with the township staff.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, we continue. Wait, I'm sorry.
Sustainable Jersey.
Yeah, I see. I'm reading the
I'm
notes.
kind of, yeah, I'm semi-mid minutes,
Thank you.
Yes.
I think it.
You know.
So Ted, anything new on the sustainable Jersey front? I know that
Nothing new. I
yeah.
see recertification looming on the horizon. I'll have to start work on that soon.
All right. Well, one thing
some things that we've had in the past, we no longer have. For instance, the farmers market.
Correct. When will we get that back? Who knows?
When COVID goes away.
Yeah.
Well, mainly because they just couldn't get enough vendors.
Okay. All right.
I think it would be better location somewhere closer to New Brunswick on Route 27. There are some nice shopping malls.
Yeah, well.
Well, I used to have it have one at the Foot Locker at Hamilton Street, Franklin Boulevard, and that had the same problem.
What about Ted? Because I think Stan is right about location. What about the thought of at Middlebush Park, where there's already on weekends, on Saturdays, usually a ton of people because of football or soccer or whatever. So you have an audience, a built-in audience there, and there might be a place for at Middlebush Park there.
Yeah.
Well, there's also the argument of be near the people. And Hamilton Street area has got a lot higher density population.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that also. I think the current location is just not good.
It's about
not working.
Who is your audience, right? So if you do it in Middlebush Park, you are preferring the audience who tend to go to Middlebush Park. But the intersection of Franklin Boulevard and Hamilton is, it's a rather highly frequented intersection,
Well, wherever you place it, it's going to be a different audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Hamilton and Frank, it's not a township-owned property. Those are parking lots.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Good point, Paul.
Yeah.
Well, they held it there in the past, so it's possible to have it there. The other place would be the John's Plaza parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Is it how they call it, John's Plaza?
Yes.
Okay.
The store isn't John's anymore, but everybody knows it's the John's.
Sorry, I don't.
I never heard of it.
You haven't
All
been
right.
long enough, Arnie.
I'm just too young.
It was a great store.
All right, and one-use plastic reduction act, of course. I understand that's still on the governor's desk, and I believe after 45 days, if he doesn't sign it, it comes back to the legislature, and it automatically, after a number of days, becomes law. And I understand that the governor is getting a lot of pressure from the industry that produces plastic, and those are primarily people who mine or frack, because they use ethane, I believe, as the starting product, which is primarily gathered from fracking, and they are out in force, to try to get the governor of New Jersey not to sign it. And also to a lesser extent, the oil industry, because a lot of their feedstock goes into plastic under certain circumstances. So all those people are there.
He still didn't sign it, did he? Right?
No, not as of today.
Pretty scary, actually, because the deadline is approaching.
If he doesn't sign it, isn't it a pocket veto? Is that
Yeah.
what a pocket veto is? So
No,
then it doesn't.
No.
A pocket
No.
veto is when a bill is passed and sent to the governor at the end of the legislative session. And after the legislature goes out of session, if he doesn't sign it then, it does not become law. That's what a pocket veto is.
Okay. So this
All
one,
right.
he has time for it not to be a pocket veto.
Well, the legislature will be in session for some time to come.
Okay. So the 45
If
days.
something were passed December 20th and the legislature went out of session, then you could, it's usually actually at the very end before the next year, before a new legislature comes in.
Okay. So we're safe from that. We don't have to worry about that.
No.
Right.
Wasn't paper bags a part of this legislation?
Yes, I think so.
And I think they're getting pressure from the paper bag industry about this as well.
I thought it was polystyrene, so it's also the paper.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, I think.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
part of
I'd
what's
heard that
holding
it was
up.
mainly the paper bag industries.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard also. Yeah, I actually hadn't heard about the fracking and all that, but
Oh yeah.
During the
Yeah,
ANJAC,
The ANJAC. Go ahead.
during the ANJAC Congress, they were referring to polystyrene. So
Okay. Well, we did our job, and again, you can always call the governor's office. I have his
did.
number in my phone.
I left 2 messages and I sent him email twice.
All right.
how was his
Wonderful.
response? Was he responsive to you?
No.
Auto response,
So,
which is much better than calling, because you leave a voicemail and he doesn't call you back saying thank you, I received your voicemail. So that doesn't happen.
Okay. All
That's
right.
to be expected. So
Okay. All right. Well, again, we're talking about underground utilities letter. Was it Jessica? I'm sorry. Who sent the letter to the BPU?
Jessica did that.
I'm not. Okay, and she hasn't gotten a response.
No, and I had suggested last meeting that we send a second request.
Ah.
And so I
Okay.
don't know whether she's done that. I think
Okay.
I can try making a phone call to Apendra this week.
Okay. If you do
leave a
that.
message And
Yeah.
say, you've got our letter, Upendra. Could you please give us the courtesy of a response?
Okay, and of course, if Mark arrives, maybe he knows something that we don't know, being the planning leader. So we'll see what happens there. Now, I think, although this is still on the lighting application tariffs, I think, Paul, you shared that that's a dead issue.
I don't think it's dead. They just haven't done nothing. They did one meeting, COVID, they used COVID as an excuse.
Oh,
Not
okay.
to forward. Maybe I can call your pension and find out what's going on.
Okay.
Speaking of lighting, yes?
Why don't we make one phone call to Upendra?
Who's
Okay.
going to do that? Yeah.
If Paul going to call him about the BPU
Okay.
tariffs, maybe Paul can ask specifically about a response to our letter.
Okay.
All right.
Because I mean, we shouldn't get lost in the sauce as much as another town might. We should at least
All right.
remember who we are.
Okay.
That would be great, Paul.
Be two
Okay.
subjects, right.
All right. And we've talked a bit about Stream Cleanup 2021 already. So I don't know if there's anything new, Stan.
No. Yeah, this is
Okay.
very early on. I
Yeah.
mean, we figured the place. I still didn't go there myself just to see how it looks like. But yeah, so is it okay that we plan on April 10th?
Yeah,
with
yeah.
rain date to 17th.
Okay, and that's assuming that, no, it doesn't necessarily, that the COVID restrictions are off,
Well,
or
yeah, of
even if
course. I
they
mean,
are.
well, look, so we managed to do it
We did.
in September somehow. So
Yeah.
let's plan as if there is no COVID.
Okay.
And,
Mhm.
we'll see what happens. And
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Mhm.
we either do it with face masks or without, let's
Mhm.
put it this way.
Okay. Now we still have on here the BPU Community Planning Grant, and I think, as I best remembered, we were saying that those funds, for whatever reason, are limited or no longer available. Is that correct?
No, this is an ongoing rolling grant.
Okay.
And I was to be working on it with Rezwan, and she wanted to do all this research first because she thought it was silly that we'd have to gather all this data on usage. And I said, fine, then you go get the waiver so we can apply without having to do all that busy work. And she never got an opportunity to do it, I guess.
Okay.
And her dad passed away. So Stan has offered to work with me on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just sent Stan today a bunch of background information on it. So
Yes, and you sent me a link to a webinar, which I thought I did attend. I could not find it in my calendar, but it has three well-known people. One is Kathleen Lewis from BPU, then Missy, forgot the first name, from Highland Park. I'm sure that she was talking about the solar and the and then the third person was actually the sustainability officer from Montclair, Gray
Right.
Russell, right?
Okay.
So
and those were all recorded, so those links will take you to the recording.
yes,
in one
it's
day.
an hour and a half, so
Yeah. So Stan and I will find the time to get ourselves briefed.
Okay.
We'll come back to you with a plan.
Okay. Well, one observation, at the ANJAC conference is that a lot of local environmental commissions have gotten grants to do certain projects, and I noticed must have been about 10. I don't know where they are. That are not all the environmental commissions, but for the few that were represented, they actually had a person from the commission or the chairperson share, the grant they got and what they did. I think Montclair was one. There were some others, and so I'm hopeful that going forward that maybe we can get some of those grants to do some certain projects. But I know
Walter,
we're very busy with other things right now. But at the same time, let's just keep that in mind that there
Walter,
are monies out there.
yes, and that supports the reason to have a sustainability officer.
Yeah,
When you have someone whose
they would be
job
looking.
they can dedicate time to this. We are all
Yeah.
volunteers, and to be
You're
able
right.
to write grant applications and then
Yeah.
be able to access all the data needed as a backup from the township employees. Right now, under the current culture, that's very difficult to imagine that we could get that kind of detail to effectively apply for a grant. I think if the township could find its way clear to hiring a sustainability officer, it could potentially unlock hundreds of thousands of dollars if we did it with someone who knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's exactly the point of a sustainability officer, that they have more clout with township employees. And I know I've talked with David, I'm never quite sure what his last name is, Chorus or something like that, in Hillsborough, that he was assistant planner, and then the business advocate, and then the sustainability officer was added to his job.
Ted, we used to have a grants coordinator. Do we have that again in the town?
No.
David
no.
Coyce.
Because that, a grants coordinator, I mean, that could be, because grants coordinators, again, they're they're worth their weight in gold because of the grants that they can bring in to the town. So, a combination grants administrator and sustainability officer could be a good combination.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a grant coordinator. Well, she was more a grant writer, but she got cancer.
Well, that was Bonnie Van Olen, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ted, is there some value for each of us when we have the opportunity to try to talk to our council persons about sustainability on a broad basis, but sustainability officer on a specific basis, so that other people sitting up there at the council or sitting on the Zoom WebEx meetings realizes that this is the way of the future now. This is where the funding's going to be, because it is urgent. And we as Franklin Township need to act like it's urgent. And we need our council people to recognize that there is urgency here that's going to affect every other thing we do in town, whether it's environmental justice, whether it's stormwater management, you name it, transportation, the energy we have to run things. Sustainability has got to be front and center. And if we are out front with a sustainability officer, we can have this work to our advantage. With just New Jersey with its energy master plan, they're going to start releasing funds to make this thing doable. But somebody's got to be monitoring those opportunities and being able to put their hands on that data to go for it. And I would like to think that the people who are on our council, other than you, have an awareness of this and an appreciation that it's not just a nice little thing over in the corner anymore, but this is central to every governance policy everybody's going to touch of any significance for the next 10 years, even at the local level.
Agreed.
Do you think, Ted, that there's benefit in us individually seeking out council people, either our own ward representative or those we run into socially, and try to make this point with them?
Yeah, and you can start with the mayor, because he has expressed to me a very high opinion of you. So make use of it. But I think he would be on our side call it our side on this. But it's convincing the rest of the council. I mean, this is where years ago, the mayor and Ross Sherman and I were all in favor of community energy aggregation. And we couldn't convince the rest of the council. They were all scared that the people would react at being told what to do.
Ted, you were referring to David Coyce. Do you see my screen now?
Yeah.
So this is the guy you were talking about, the sustainability officer in Hillsborough. He got an award.
Okay.
Well, if everybody would keep that in mind with your own council person.
Yeah.
I'll try to ask the mayor for a bit of a profile on the rest of the council. Where do they stand on this? So we know what tack to use.
I think most of them have thought about it.
Yeah.
Councilman Vasanella will come down on both sides of the issue, as he always does.
Yeah, he's my representative. Oh my goodness.
So, but I think we need to convey some urgency to our own local governing body, and have them be eyes wide open, or otherwise we're going to be behind the starting line. And all these other towns, they're going to get this money.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's the only way this stuff is going to happen. It's going to be funded either by the feds or the state, or maybe even the county. But if we're not out in front, we're going to be an awesome ram. And that's pretty sad. So I'll call the mayor. I'd appreciate if you guys would call somebody.
Okay, wonderful.
And Robin, you're making a great argument. Just keep doing that. What you just said. So
I'll try, Diane.
All right.
Too bad the council didn't meet in person because I think you could convince them easily.
Well, they don't like being told what to do, I'm sure of that, but
But money, you said something about money.
yes, that's true. And
Yeah,
look around
because
and
sustainability overlaps with efficiency,
yes,
And they pay for themselves with the amount of money that will be
Oh,
brought
yeah.
in,
Yeah.
right?
That's what Gray Russell said, that he's paying his salary from the savings that he
Exactly.
generates.
and if there is a change in administration, I think there'll be a lot of funds coming out of Washington for this.
That's what's going to happen, hopefully.
I think to some extent, the focus in the state is on the shore communities because they're going to be so much more directly affected by sea level rise.
Yes.
But the state is also worried about its energy master plan. We are very much a transportation concerning state.
Yeah,
It's going to hit a lot of different sectors and stormwater management, even inland in Franklin is a big deal. So we could pick different avenues in. That's why it's helpful to know who the council person is, what's their sweet spot. If their sweet spot is environmental or, economic justice for the first ward, let's use that. If their sweet spot is preserving open space, let's use that. We just need to know their profiles a little bit because this applies to everybody. You just have to find the right door to go in. I'll shut up.
Thank you. No, I don't mean for your contribution, really. I hear exactly what you're saying. Real quickly, I don't know how many of you, during the environmental conference, they went through the, we call it the 80-50 plan, 80% reduction or I'm sorry, clean energy by 2050. And I went through most of that with them and independently, and that's a great document. So if you get a chance to read that, it really is ambitious, and it can sort of give you a good idea of the direction at least the people in Trenton are trying to go, and whether we want to push them or steer them or whatever in any way. If you read that, you have a pretty good idea where they stand. So that's enough about that. Stan, the EV Township, the analytic data about EV uses.
Yeah.
I assume that. Go ahead.
So I was very active, so to speak. So what I did, I went. Maybe I can actually do some. Where do I have my photos? I can maybe.
Here, that's your sheet.
No. Let me do this. So I did something that Bob didn't like, but obviously. So I went on occasion. I was in a library, so I made a trip. Oh, now you see so many other pictures. Yeah, I took a picture of those vehicles, and then the charging stations. You can populate session duration. Like this vehicle was plugged in for 168 hours and 51 minutes. Well, I repeatedly mentioned that, it's not a good idea to charge 200%. And then port 1, port 2, right? So this is cumulative amount of watt hours that was drawn from this specific charger. So I went through all of them. And obviously, I could not check the charger in Department of Public Works. And I asked for access, which of course I was denied. And when
Really?
I asked Carlo to follow the procedure, he didn't even respond. So that circles back to what we have already discussed. So I put the data together, and I just want to tell you that these two bars are from the public chargers that have been used by public for free until sometimes end of July. And after the end of July, because it's no longer free, nobody wants to use it. But anyway, you can see how much those people were using the free public chargers while the township was not really using their own chargers. And so another calculation is so total kilowatt hours the township draw was 5,442 kilowatt hours, which happens to be $44 per month, with the assumption that the charging station were commissioned the end of June, which I think they were earlier. And it's also recalculated to 8 vehicles with the assumption that 2 vehicles are being charged in a Department of Public Works. And the public stations, they draw 17,872, which is in average $176 per month. And the amount of energy is equal to 180 miles per a day. So there are 2 ports, right? So each of them would dispense enough energy that is good for 90 miles. And this is a calculation of the capacity of those chargers. So the public chargers that are available for 14 or 16 hours a day. So in total, when with the assumption that there is a 100% turnaround, they could dispense up to 396 miles a day. And the township, they are kept at the vehicle capability because there is 1 charger per vehicle, so that's 238. But they only draw 5.6 miles a day. But that's for every calendar day. For business day, it's 7.8 miles. So,
Wow.
yeah, I was quite disappointed how little those vehicles are used. Now, of course, township makes rationale, oh, we have COVID, we have COVID. Okay, we have COVID for the last 6-7 months, but those vehicles were available since December, 5 of them since December 2018, and another 5 since July 2019. So I would still expect those vehicles to have a little bit more on odometer. I mean, I don't have access to the odometer, so it's just the estimate based on how much energy was drawn.
Stan, do you have a breakdown, or are you able to check and see what the average mileage was from December through, say, February before COVID? And then
this,
from...
no. This is cumulative. I would have to take a picture of the meter at the beginning of COVID. I do not have that data. I'm pretty sure the township could pull easily that data if they just want to. They could give me access to the charge point network profile, but of course this is not going to happen. I'm saying, of course, but it's kind of pathetic, of course, you know.
I think if you and I look carefully into this clean energy planning grant, we will need the data for that grant. And maybe if we go in requesting it under that purpose, we'll get it.
Well, the problem is that or what the manager tells me, and it seems likely, that the township electric vehicles are not being used during COVID-19. For instance, 4 of the vehicles are assigned to the tax assessor's department, and they're not doing home assessments, home visits for assessment purposes, while the township is shut down because of COVID-19.
Yeah, but Stan's making the point, if he had access to the raw data, he could see what it was like before COVID, which would be helpful to understand.
Yes.
And since the tax assessors aren't doing what they did, can those cars be reassigned to other people who might be using gas-powered vehicles?
Well, and then there's the problem that, and Stan has made this point earlier, the construction code inspectors for whom the vehicles ostensibly were purchased will not use them because some of their visits are to construction sites where there's no paved driveway, and they are concerned that they might tear up vehicles. So
But it hasn't been known before.
Instead,
When the vehicle were purchased, they didn't ask the inspectors, "Hey, would you drive those vehicles?" The specifications were available. Everybody knew that these are not pickup trucks.
yeah, but they were purchased ostensibly for code officials because that's where the money was.
Okay.
They didn't intend to use it from the beginning.
Well, they didn't think about, I admit, they didn't think about that point. And I imagine even the officials didn't think about it.
And township manager, he doesn't work from home. He's commuting. I see his vehicle parked next to the dedicated parking spots for electric vehicles. Well, he could use the electric vehicle. I mean, is it against the code that he cannot use?
If you tell him to use an electric vehicle, Stan, I guarantee he will not.
Does he drive a municipal car, Ted?
That I don't know.
No, it is personal vehicle.
Really?
Police, it's the Interceptor, whatever, Ford. And on one occasion, when I went to Department of Public Works, I think that was to get the garbage pickers before the stream cleanup. I just seen Carl leaving the building, and he was holding his cell phone. He didn't even notice that I'm next to him, and he sit into this oversized SUV and drove away. Right? So, which, it's anecdotal evidence, but, he could use the electric vehicle too.
And Carl does drive that car home.
Yeah. On Hickory Road.
Is he from Franklin?
Yeah, he lives a block away from me.
That's how you know.
That's how I know.
He's watching.
I mean, we always say that in the electric vehicle club that people need to experience the electric. When they do experience, it actually turns them in favor of electric vehicles. But if your attitude, if you are already decided that you don't like it, I just don't know. But I'm so confused. So if they ordered 10 vehicles, not 5, not 2, lots of townships, they are not sure, they are experimenting, they order 1 or 2 vehicles, but we ordered 10, right? And they even don't like those vehicles, those people who ordered them. Vornocker doesn't like it, Karl doesn't like it.
Well, I don't know, would Bob Vornlocker be able to fit in one of those vehicles?
Of course,
That was exactly his reason for not using them.
Right.
Really?
No, that's what he
he's
said.
about my size, isn't he?
No, he's a little
He
tall.
is 6 feet 5 inches tall.
5.
But are there other departments that those vehicles could be assigned out to where they would make a meaningful difference? I mean,
I'm sure they are.
I'm just looking at the department list on the township website. I've got to believe that one of these departments could make use of a couple of those vehicles.
Well, of course, it would have to be a department whose staff do go out and drive around the township.
Yep,
But
well,
on the other hand, not one who do it normally in trucks, like most of DPW would, because they've, and Carl made the point that he carries with him in his SUV a lot of tools that he sometimes needs at DPW work sites.
Okay.
Maybe recreation goes to the different parks for different programs when there's no COVID.
No,
Recreation,
exactly. When there's no COVID.
right?
utility, how, there's, I just wonder if that question were posed to Vornlocker, could they be reassigned for some benefit? And see what he says.
Maybe
Yeah.
how about for the district? Not that they use lots of driving now, but
It's
we,
after 8:30.
Yeah. Stan, do you see Mark Healy out there anywhere?
wait a second, where is
Oh, his name popped
Nicholson?
up.
No, I still see two people at attendees, Caitlin and Franklin Reporter. But we can open to public.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to open to the public.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Okay, the meeting is now open to the public.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay. How do I do it? Caitlin, unmute. Caitlin, do you want to say something? You're unmuted.
No, I was just happy to sit in on the meeting.
Okay, cool.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you. So remute you. And Franklin Reporter.
I'm good, thanks very much.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close to the public.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor of the side?
Aye.
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 All right. Okay, very good. We're just about at the end of the agenda, and I don't know.
Oh, okay, wait a second.
Okay,
Where do I have it here? Yeah.
there we go. Oh,
You had it, now you got it.
Amazon
Now-
Green Roof suggestion letter. This
So,
is
Paul-
done. No?
yeah, Paul, I assume that we haven't gotten a response from Amazon on the,
I was gonna ask you about that because the only contact in the letter was your email.
yeah. No, I
And it
haven't
sounds like
seen
You haven't heard
anything.
anything.
Yeah, I'll specifically search, but I don't think I've heard anything.
Right.
Good,
That's the only contact they have.
All right.
At this point.
very good. I'll definitely search for that. But
Okay,
in going through and reviewing my emails on a day-to-day basis, I have not seen that.
right.
I think I would have, but
I
I'll
think you
double check.
would pop out at you if you saw it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and
Of course, you could look in your Amazon list and see if if you bought something.
all right. And the next item on the agenda is, I believe, let's see
Well,
here.
technically we had sustainability officer, which we already went through.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
Coyote program, there is a postpone, I guess,
Yeah.
because they
I would-
don't have a virtual version. They could have by now,
Yeah, you're right.
right? Maybe in April they were like, give me a second, maybe it will go away because president says so.
I suspect that DEP is putting its time into planning future activities. I've attended part of the Watershed Institute's series of webinars today, and it was mainly what I heard was a presentation from the DEP about their climate planning document.
Okay, that's big everywhere. Yeah.
I mean, we have notably, the township is still waiting for DEP approval of the plans for Catalpa Park.
Ted, did the council ever pass any kind of resolution or anything about climate change or global warming? Do you remember them doing that?
Oh, probably. I don't specifically remember it. You know, when the council comes out for motherhood and God, I don't remember it. It's a little bit like that.
I tried looking on the township website and I couldn't find anything. Should I, if I wanted to find that, should I contact Anne Marie, or how would I
I
find
would
out about it?
contact Anne Marie. If it exists, she can find it.
Okay, good, thank you.
I kind of think we did, but, you know, probably years ago.
I faintly remember it, but nothing specific.
Okay.
So,
And one thing that I forgot in earlier when I was sort of going over things that I've done, I reposted the history of environmental stewardship awardees. You know, the one we put out before did not have 2019 on, and we did do 2020, and that we weren't making an award. So I updated it through 2020 and sent it to Bob McQueen, asked him to substitute this one for the one that was up there. So I'll have to double check to make sure that. Okay. So anything else? If Mark doesn't make it, maybe we can ask him to come back another time. So he would be accessing from home, right, after hours, right?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, who is that?
That's Mark.
That's Mark.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Why did we?
5 minutes ago. Sorry.
how did you make it to among panelists? I guess Jessica must have added you.
Yes, she did. She did independently.
Ah, okay, cool. Well,
thanks,
I'm
Mark, for
going
making
to let me stop sharing. And I guess you may want to share some slides, don't you?
Me? No, I don't have slides. I was just asked to attend.
Yeah, well, yeah, we wanted to talk about underground utilities. There have been some feedback. It's for built up area that's not cost effective. If you're going into a new area that you can save but your general perspective on this. We Franklin Township, where there have been new developments and when there have been storms and outages, the people who have the underground utilities experience a lot less damage and outages than some other parts. And I don't know, certainly a lot of the state areas where there are no underground utilities, we can see what's happening. But we just, from a planning perspective, we want you to sort of share with us, if you would, and thank you for joining us.
Sure, absolutely.
And Mark, if I can add to that, 2 specific questions. I think it's our understanding that for new construction, there is no requirement that utilities go underground, but the builders are doing that. And then the second, to confirm that, should we have an ordinance, if that's true, should we have an ordinance that does require it, just so we have some teeth in case someone tries not to? And then the third part would be, where there's storm damage, it seems ridiculous to us, we keep building back up above ground. And if we wanted there to be a requirement that after X amount of storm damage, whether we measure it in dollars or percentage of capacity damage, that it have to go underground, is that something we can do at the township level, or does that have to come from the state?
Well, let me first answer. So you have 3 questions there. The answer to the first 2 questions is that we do have a requirement in the ordinance.
Okay.
And the more recent developments, the more recent large scale developments, if you think of Canal Walk, Summerfields, the larger age restricted developments, Avalon, I believe all of those have underground utilities, fully underground.
We do it, Canal Walk.
I think where you have the above ground utilities, at least in the 15 years or so that I've been here, you're probably talking more of single family subdivisions where you have public rights of way, and you have you may have some that have overhead utility poles to serve the electric and the telephone.
But can we make that a requirement, that for single family subdivisions?
Well, yeah, that leads to your third question, which is really, we already do require it, but then when it comes to the actual doing it, it's PSC and G. We certainly could. I mean, I can look into to see to what degree the township. I think it's two things. I don't know if we're going to have that many large scale single family subdivisions moving forward anyway.
Okay.
So you're really talking about the areas that have already been developed. Can the township require underground? I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that. I'm not really sure how the township could require it. It's all done by PSC and G. They're regulated by the Board of Public Utilities. I'm not so sure we can tell PSC and G how to run their lines.
Yeah, could you find out about that?
Look into that.
Yeah, because even if somebody's putting in 5 houses somewhere, if we could require that the lines running into that cul-de-sac or whatever it is be underground, do we have the authority to do that? And then the other piece, yeah, and at the same time, maybe you could find out, once there's storm damage, do we have any clout to say, don't put back what is there? That's going to be the 4th time in 10 years we're going to be repairing those. Look at our alternatives. And we'd love to know. We have written to the BPU, we've written to Pendra and asked him, and had to send a second request, and no answer yet.
Yeah, I mean, I could look into that. I think the other thought that I had when I was asked to attend this is if there's some way that the Environmental Commission can partner with other environmental commissions and ANJAC, and make it more of an ANJAC, kind of a larger, if it's just Franklin Township,
right?
I'm not so sure that's going to make the BPU or PSC&G do anything.
Right.
But it's ANJAC with how many 100, I don't know how many, 100 environmental commissions?
At least, yeah.
That may have a lot more power than just the Franklin Township Environmental Commission or the Franklin Township Council.
And I did contact ANJAC and asked them if they were doing any work on this at all, and they said no. It's a good idea.
Well, that's a start. It's a start.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, if you could do some research, Mark, that would be helpful for us.
Yeah. I think the situation probably is that undergrounding is, retrofitting, so to speak, is very expensive, much more expensive than putting up overhead lines. And our question is, if you take the economics over a 50-year period where lines would have to be repaired several times, does that change the economics and favor undergrounding them? Only the BPU can find this out, and that's why to lean on the BPU with as much weight as possible is probably the only viable way to approach this, I think. And of course, it's because the public suffers and loses the contents of their refrigerator, et cetera, whenever lines do go out.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what we put in the letter to Pendra, and asking him when's the last time a long-term study was done, and if it hasn't been, isn't the time coming? Because these dramatic weather events are coming more frequently and more severe each time. So they need to be projecting that direction into the study.
Robin, and I gave it another thought. There is another solution to it. As opposed to making more robust lines, you make a microgrid. So that you make lots of energy storage, and when something falls, you can tap into it. And you can have your own energy storage relatively affordable in every home.
All right.
I'd like
It's
to
kind of
see it.
fancy to have because other than having it as a resilience, there is not much of a benefit.
Mhm. But resilience may become more and more of a factor. It certainly is more of one now than it was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right.
thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Hey, Mark, before you go, are you working on the new stormwater management plan? I know Carl is, and I thought maybe you were working on that also.
No, I'm not working on it. I think Carl's leading on that.
Okay. He's not, is he working with anybody else in the township that you're aware of? Or is it just, he's the lead and?
I haven't spoken to him about it. I'm not sure at this point who he's involving.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Mark, for joining. And
Have you been waiting for long, Mark? When did you join?
No, I was a little delayed getting on myself. I couldn't. I had saved myself the email and then couldn't find it, and then I just.
We did the same
Because
thing.
I was not even looking for you among panelists. For some reason, I thought you will be as an attendee, and I'm going to promote you to panelists. So, okay, anyway.
Fine.
well, maybe you can share with Mark how he can get it into his calendar.
Yeah, no, I messed up. I logged in I listened for probably about 5 minutes.
Oh,
Okay. Good.
Okay,
Thank
so you didn't hear all the complaints. Okay, fine.
I hear my name said in vain.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks again. And we hopefully maybe we'll be calling on you again in the future. But I know that you had to do a little sacrifice to get on with this. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. And I'm looking at the
agenda. Oh, wait.
the 16th.
We have adjourned actually now.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
not yet.
Is there anything else we have open to the public already and close? Maybe we want to do it again?
No, we've done all that.
Yeah, we're done, but I think where is the share button?
There we go.
Yeah. Who is in the audience? Participants.
Anybody new?
No, we actually lost the girl, the woman.
Okay.
But
From the Institute, yeah.
yeah. Franklin
All right.
Important, he already said that he's not interested. So
Okay.
cool.
I think a motion to adjourn is now.
Okay, I motion to adjourn.
We cannot have two identical motions.
Well, Stan, before you do that, you said that the Franklin reporter didn't want to comment before, but it's possible that he might want to comment after hearing what he's heard since then. And since we do have a public session on the agenda, I would make a motion to open it to the public.
Okay, why not? I second that.
Second motion, okay.
Okay. All in favor, so aye. Open it to the
Aye.
public.
Aye. Franklin Reporter, you are unmuted now.
Yeah, I got nothing, thanks.
Okay.
I'll motion to close to the.
I just missed you, Bill.
Thank you
All
for
right.
staying with us, though.
Sure.
All right. Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor by show by hand sign.
Aye.
Okay, the
My
meeting.
motion to adjourn.
You get a second?
Second.
Okay, moving second that we adjourn the meeting.